what did your brothers and sisters, there were 4 of you, weren't there?
Yeah, my elder brother Morris, he had a electrical apprenticeship, I suppose, but he didn't stay there long. I can't even remember the name of the firm he went, but then he moved to King's, where he did very well.
Was that in Hitchin? Or?
No, those King's in Stevenage, yeah. Brother Dan, when he left school, he went to Shillington as a butcher.
Where was the butchers in Shillington?
They're little, yeah, at the bottom of the street, as they call it. It's yeah. He actually, it was an uncle of ours, but he would belong to the Allingham family that's got butchers in Hitchin, and he worked there.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about you?
When I left school, I worked for a year at the laundry, and then I went to work in Months and selling prams and toys.
Where was that?
That's in High Street in Hitchin. I mean, it's a restaurant now, but it's called Months Alley. There's a post there with Months on it. We used to put all the bikes and some toys all out there in the alleyway so people could see them.
Yes.
Yes.
And what about your younger brother?
Well, when he left school, he went to work in down the farm, Rectory Farm.
Yeah, for Whedon's.
Yeah. Most of the boys went down there for a little while.
Yes.
Till they found that they could get more money elsewhere.
Yes.
And then he went to work at, I think it's Whitbread's, isn't it? Brewery in Luton.
Oh, did he? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah.
You lived up the Green. Do you remember you telling me about the cobblers?
Oh, yes. Jack used to do the cobbling.
Yeah, Jack Lawrence.
Jack Lawrence, yeah. They do talk about him and his monkey, but I can't remember a monkey. But we used to have to take Aunt Jane's boots up there because she had them repaired quite often because she had a little boot and a big boot had made, so she used to eke them out. Dad's work boots they used to take up and get Blakey's put on them.
What a Blakey's?
Well, it's like a nail really, a shaped nail with 2 or 3 points on it to save the toes and the heels, I suppose.
Yes.
And well, most people used to. I don't know if the shoe wanted stitching, and Jack could do it. Yeah.
Where was his shop then?
He's on the little green over the Great Green.
Be behind the sign.
Yeah, behind where the signs are. Where the bungalow is now.
Yes.
Yes, the bungalow was built in his garden. His son built the bungalow in the garden.
Oh, I see, Jack Lawrence, yes.
Yeah.
You were saying about Aunt Jane. Did you tell me once about she had a problem with her leg or something when they lived down Burge End?
She did. She I don't know. She obviously had a malformed foot. It wasn't badly misshaped, but it was just a lot smaller. And she was telling me one day there is a stream down there where she lived down there, and she can remember her mum dangling her foot in, thinking that would help it. It probably shrivelled it even further, didn't it? But yes.
And was there a blacksmith up on the Green when you were there?
Yes, opposite Jack's, next to Walk Christmas.
Yes.
Which is almost but one away from the cat and fiddle. Yes, I can remember standing there watching a man shoot the horses.
Who was that then that did the blacksmithing?
His name was, I can't remember, was it Fred?
Freddie Bell.
Freddie Bell, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, I was too young really to know much about him.
Yes.
But I can remember standing watching him lift the horses' hooves up, and and I suppose he used to do other works as well. I mean, chains and locks and gates and things like that, which is what they do, don't they?
Yeah, I think in the old days he did carts as well. And
yeah, exactly. The wheels, the rim for the cars.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. And you were telling me about Jack Lawrence. He used to get about with a bike because he lived down Cromwell Terrace, didn't he?
He did. Yes, he did. And he used to go home to lunch, and he had a fixed wheel. So one leg was straight, and the other leg used to have to pedal him home.
Yeah.
It was all right going home for lunch, but it was a bit much coming back up the road. do it every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And by Jack, there was also the garages, wasn't there? There were...
Yes, by the next to the White Horse, as it was then, now the Mott and Bailey. Yeah, there were some garages there. There was a friend called Les, I can't think of his other name. He used it for a garage. And when we moved up here, so I was 30 then, I suppose, we used to keep our car over there.
Oh, yes.
But he used to do repairs.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, when the Pirton Bell was about the bus, then they used to. That was Percy Wright's time, and then Woolies, who used to own Woolies Garage in Hitchin.
Oh, yes.
They came to the pub for a little while.
Yes.
And so they used to repair things.
Yeah. Did it sell petrol and things like that?
It had a petrol pump outside, but I think more in the Pirton Bell time for the bus. You know, they used to fill up the bus.
Yeah. When do you think it stopped then being garage then? You know when?
I don't really know the date, but it was
In the 70s?
I think it's later than that.
Is it really?
When,
Yeah.
when Miss Tackley's house was built.
Yes, about the 80s perhaps.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Did you
Doesn't seem long, but it is.
Yeah, yes, yes.
It is.
And talking about other people that worked in the village, you mentioned Miss Baldwin.
Yes, Miss Baldwin. Well, yes, she's part of the village. I think she delivered most babies in those days, unless there was problems when they used to have to go into Hitchin. She delivered me down Hole Road, and 30 odd years later, or 20 odd years later, she delivered my daughter. So from then on, she was called Nanny, because she called herself that when she delivered Jane. She said, well, I'm now Nanny to this one. So she was always Nanny Baldwin. She did most things in the village. If we had problems, you'd go to her, stitches needing out. And I remember going down to one of her houses when I had a grass dart in my ear, and she had to take that out. She was everywhere. Of course, she used to come to school and be the knit nurse.
What's that?
Looking through our hair to see if we'd got lice, looking at our fingernails to see if we bit them. And yeah, everywhere you went, Nanny Baldwin was there, part of your life.
And so she looked after babies as well in the clinic?
She looked after babies. We used when I had Jane, we used to have to go to the village hall,
Yes.
where she would weigh them, yeah, and give you a help and advice about feeding.
Yes.
In my case, it was always she fed too much. Everybody else put on an ounce or two. Jane would put on half a pound.
Too good a mum.
Yeah, exactly. But no, she was everywhere in our life.
Yes.
Yeah, everywhere.
And she drove a car, did she?
She drove a car. Well, just going round, she lived in quite a few houses in
Yes.
the village.
Where did she live?
First, yeah, I can remember first her living down West Lane, next to
The Davis Crescent?
a lot further along than that. Yes.
Oh, by Little Lane?
Yeah, and then when they built the houses and the allotments at the other end of West Lane, I think they must have put her in there, and because she had a garage built there that they used to run out onto West Lane,
Yeah.
so she could keep her car.
Yes.
Because I think she used to have to do duties in Hitchin
Oh, right.
and other places. I'm not sure. I think she used to go to Offley too.
Yeah, perhaps she did quite a few
Perhaps
villages.
she did a lot, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, just right.
And was she with a doctor then, a particular?
Well, I should think she. I don't know if all surgeries used her, but she was certainly with Dr. Grellett. Oh, in those days, it would be Carter, I should think. Yeah, yes, she was attached to them.
And you say she moved around from houses. Where else did she live after?
Well, from there, she moved round Hitchin Road to where police house is. She used to live next door to that, which Pauline and them live in now. And I can also, and then she moved from that. Mind you, in those days when she first moved, she had her mum with her.
Yes.
So there was just, and I think when she was when they wanted to sell those houses, she moved into Crabtree Lane, into a council house there. And I suppose that's all they had at the time, because then, a few months or so, a year after or so, she moved up into the bungalows
Yes.
in Pollard's Way.
So the
And
council.
that's where she was until she passed.
Yes. So the council sort of provided housing
Well,
for
yes.
the village nurse, as it were.
The village nurse, the village
Yeah.
doctor, the village gamekeeper, and
What
I
about
said-
the policeman? Did the village policeman have a house?
yes, he had a house. Well, he had a house round there, and those. And before that, down West Lane, Mr. Warby used to live,
Yes.
and then he went round to the special house round Hitchin Road again.
Why was it special?
Well, it has a police office built on. If you look, there's still, I think it's blocked in inside, but outside, I think it's still a door. And a big room behind that, quite a bit built on to extra
Yeah.
for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then because we had after Warby, we had
Morris Berry.
Morris Berry, yeah, and his family lived down there
Yes.
until he retired. Then he moved into Danefield,
Yes.
and then we had Plod to me, Paul Turner. Yeah. I call him Plod to his face.
Yes.
He's always Plod. Yeah.
Did you ever sort of meet up with a policeman when you were younger? I mean,
Yeah.
was he around the village or what?
Yes. He caught Brother Dennis taking me home one night. Mother had a loopy bike, you know what I mean? One of the big loops. And I used to sit on the back, and Dennis used to pedal down, sit on the panny at the back. And he caught us then. And Dennis just said to him, "Don't talk to us, go and talk to Mum." And, okay. And once I can remember him telling me off because I was being a bride and picking May, and I got told off for that. Yeah. And he used to, as I say, he was everywhere.
How was that? Did he walk everywhere or?
What, bike or push his bike? He would, wherever. Try and catch us doing anything to help the ordinary, being naughty,
Like
or being
what?
Scrumping,
What's scrumping?
going and nicking plums or apples out somebody's orchard, or even cycling away a bit to a pea field and filling your pockets up with peas. anything. But Warby was always there. I can't remember Mr. Berry being so, but perhaps I was getting older and.
What about when you had a boyfriend?
Oh yes, well, Warby used to be horrible. When Nolly and Nev used to bike over to see us, he once hid their bike in the fox yard, covered up with Derek's straw, so they couldn't get home. And then he used to tell them every time, "They're not wanted here to go home." But nobody took a lot of notice of him.
Did he wear a uniform? Or?
Yes. Oh yes. Yeah. Yes, you took more notice than Mr. Berry. I can remember that. But then I was, as I say, not so naughty and older by those that time. Yeah.